Welcome back to the Fallbar podcast.
Welcome back.
Fallbar baseball show, whatever you want to call it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Episode 2.5, episode 2, episode 3.
Yeah. Honestly, they're adding up to like 2 because we got 2 half episodes.
Well, yeah,
one of
that
which
first
is
one.
not
That first one was
public
just
consumption.
a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Well, today we are going to talk about the hodgepodge that is the mid-tier of Major League Baseball.
Oh yeah.
All the teams that aren't necessarily a big market, aren't necessarily a small market.
Nope.
Teams that have something to play for, they've got to make decisions in the offseason to get their teams to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about what some of those need to be.
And some of them might not be the playoffs next year either. Some of them might
Well,
be.
they can't all be.
Oh no, they can't.
They can't all
But
be.
Some of them really shouldn't be,
It's true.
and we'll get into that.
It's true.
We'll get
That's a
into
good
some
point.
rebuilds, some trades.
I think a good way to split this big group up a little bit is to split it up between the teams that will make a big signing versus the teams that will not make a big signing.
Yeah.
Like teams that are willing to spend a lot versus teams that are not willing to spend. So
Yeah.
like what I mean by that is like the Red Sox, the Cubs, the Giants, like teams that could be in the play
Yeah.
for bigger free agents. There are more than just those three.
Maybe-
And then like on the
maybe-
flip side, Milwaukee,
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, the Royals, Cleveland, teams like that.
Yeah. Yep. Let's start with Kevin B's favorite, the Boston Red Sox.
They're gonna sign Juan Soto, basically. So maybe not. But the Sox need pitching.
They do. They need it bad.
They need a bat. They need a right-handed bat, basically, because of how lefty dominant the lineup is. But if you can get Juan Soto, and they're in the mix on Juan Soto, is it likely? No, it's not likely at all. But if you can get Juan Soto, you obviously get Juan Soto. But in ideal terms, it's a right-handed bat, someone to the likes of bringing back Tyler O'Neill,
Yeah.
or say Oscar Hernandez,
Or both.
or both. Well, how are you going to play both? Can't have 4 outfielders.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, 'cause you got Duran
Duran, Rafaela,
Rafaela.
Abreu. Well, that's the other thing is
and Willie Abreu, yeah.
dealing with the pitching. There are a lot of tradable pieces from the Red Sox
Mhm.
farm system and from their Major League ready talent.
Mm-hmm.
And Abreu is probably the most likely of those to get traded. Marcelo Mayer could get traded. I kind of don't want to see him get traded because anytime you've got a guy that can feasibly play a big league shortstop, that's super valuable.
Yeah.
But the Red Sox have assets. They have needs that they can get, whether it's signing Fried or Snell or Burns. They haven't spent huge on pitching in a long time, so they can do it. They could also trade for pitching. They could call up Seattle. Luis Castillo's been a name floating around for a little bit that I
Yeah.
think would be an interesting guy to have on the Red Sox. Obviously, they're in the mix on Garrett Crochet, maybe someone like Sandy Alcantara. Like, there are ways to get it done. They just have to be okay with giving up what it costs, whether it's players or it's money, and then pulling the trigger. Because if you get a little bit of bullpen help, maybe a frontline starter and a depth starter,
Yeah.
get either Hernandez or O'Neill in the middle of your lineup. If the kids come in and develop, that's a good baseball team.
Yeah. And the thing is, we touched on this a little bit in the last episode with the Mets, and it's like it's not a huge loss if you don't get Juan Soto. Obviously, you want Juan Soto
It's not.
because he is Juan Soto. But, like, if you don't get him, you already had a good amount of success last year with the core you had, and then you can go out and sign any of the plethora of free agent relievers to bolster up that bullpen, which was really the main struggle for the team. And then you get a starter and you get a bat or two,
Yeah.
and then you let the kids develop, and you're looking at a really, really scary team that still has Rafael Devers and still has some pretty good front line starting with Tanner Houck and Brian Bayo.
Bayo.
they have a really exciting, solid core, and then Connor Wong was good last year. Cedane Rafaelo was good. Willie Abreu won a Gold Glove.
Sure did.
I mean, there's a lot to be excited about, and there's a lot of opportunity, regardless of who you sign. As long as you just make the moves, you got to make a move or two. And I mean, the good thing is the bullpen market is so deep that you kind of can't go wrong.
Yeah, there are relievers out there, and there aren't so many starters out there, but like there are starters out there too. Like if you don't get Fried or Snell, then you can call up Sean Manaea or Yusei Kikuchi. Like those guys aren't bad pitchers.
Not at all.
The Red Sox are in, and this is why it's exciting as a fan, but it's a little like nerve-wracking as a fan. They're in such a good position to go big.
Yeah.
And we just want to see them do it.
Yeah, just do it. Pull the trigger.
Just do it.
And like it's not like they're going out of their comfort zone with spending. They've done that before.
Well, thank you for trying.
Yeah.
Just give me a big fish.
Yeah. Yeah, get some people to hit some balls over the monster and get some people to pitch.
Hey, Oscar
and not
Hernandez, go
Yeah.
Sox. I just really want to Oscar Hernandez.
Yeah.
But, like, we know what they need.
Yeah.
It's clear. People know. Like, it's a lefty-dominant lineup. They kind of missed a little on the bullpen depth. They missed a little on, like, having a frontline guy.
Yeah.
There are avenues to make those things happen.
Yeah.
So hopefully this winter they do that and they put themselves in a position to, I'd say definitely at the very least, be in the playoffs next year. I think it's very possible that the Red Sox could be in the postseason next season.
I absolutely think that's possible, and I think they're not very far off whatsoever. Another somewhat similar story, but they had more success last year, is the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, I was just about to transition to the Baltimore Orioles because
Yeah.
their young core is
Outstanding.
it's outstanding in comparison to the Red Sox young core. The Orioles young core is more proven already at the major
Yeah.
league level. A lot of the Sox guys are still in the minors. They have not spent big.
No, they have not.
If there's a time to do it, oh my God, is it now?
It's absolutely right now. I'm pretty curious why they didn't go in on Soto, at least like give it a little bit of a run.
Yeah, they're not in there at all.
Yeah. I mean, I know they're not a big spending team, and I know they probably don't want to drop that much money on one player, but when you have so many guys who are still on rookie contracts.
If you think about having Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, and Juan Soto on the same team.
Yeah, and the cumulative amount for them is still whatever Juan Soto's contract is, plus like $1.5 million.
Yeah, not plus too much.
Their contracts are so little right now. I mean, that I feel like that's a golden opportunity to try and go out there and get a big guy and then get him some help and get a leader and get some wins. But anyways.
They can still be good if they don't do that.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, you still got Jordan Westberg. You got Colton Cowser, who was probably the most overrated player in baseball, but it's whatever.
He wasn't bad. He just wasn't
bad,
rookie of the year good.
No, not at all.
That's whatever.
But I mean, they have so much young talent. I mean, Kobe Mayo came up. I don't think he had a whole lot of success.
He didn't do well, but I think he will do well.
I think
he's got the makings of
a
good hitter.
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely tore it up in the minors.
They're moving the fence back in. Did you see that?
That I did see that. Thank
it was
God.
But so ridiculous.
It was so
to watch
ugly
those
and
games.
ridiculous, and you would see so many like, oh, this person hit a 385-foot home run
crushed
to
it.
left field,
And Austin Hayes would just go.
Yeah, and it's like home run in 29 out of 30
Exactly,
ballparks.
They
What's
were
the
doing
one?
too much.
What's the one? Baltimore. And it's because they freaked out when their terrible pitchers at the time were giving up nukes to left field, and
Yeah.
it wasn't the field's fault. It was the pitcher's fault
My
at
bad
the time when
that-
they were really bad.
Judge, Stanton, Betts, and Bogarts were just
Right.
teeing off on your left field for a couple
Yeah.
years.
That doesn't mean you have to move it back
Right.
in eternity. Let's go back like 10 feet,
Just
15 feet.
get some sinker ballers.
Yeah. But now they're doing the right thing. And they have a splash platform. Did you see that?
No, that's really cool.
So, like, you know how the owner, like, has that little hose thing.
Yeah.
He splashes the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like a whole platform for that now.
No, they're having fun in Baltimore.
They are having fun. They need to have a little bit more fun though, because this team has so much talent, and they just need to put it all together. I think they should re-sign Corbin Burns.
I think they should too. I think it's gonna be hard. But
I think it's
they
going to be
should.
really hard to do so. But if they don't, go out and get Freed, try and get Blake Snell.
Yeah, they need to sign.
They need to sign a big guy.
They haven't had like a. I mean, they've had really good pitchers in the past couple years, but you have like Rodriguez and Tyler Wells is coming off Tommy John, and Albert Suarez came out of nowhere this year.
Yeah, who the hell was that guy beforehand?
You want a guy in front of them, and you had it in Corbin Burns last year, and it was great. And now you don't have it, and you need it to either be Corbin Burns or like Corbin Burns adjacent. Trading for your ace to just pitch for you for 1 year in the last year of his contract and then not re-signing him is not going to be a sustainable success.
Yeah, I totally agree. You need to sign a big guy, and I really think they should go after the Sean Manaeas of the world, the Charlie Mortons of the world, that like a middle of the line starter to bolster that rotation in case Albert Suarez regresses, which is
like
probably likely.
I haven't looked, but he's like on the other side of 30. You can't imagine he's going to do what he did again.
Yeah.
But like,
Who
I
knows?
don't know. They have good prospects too, so I guess they could make a trade. They're in on Crochet.
They are in
of course
on Crochet,
they are.
but they have so much minor league talent that they can't not be on Crochet.
Right.
They did trade away DL Hall, I believe.
I watched a DL Hall start live this summer.
Oh wow.
I was impressed. He didn't do so bad.
Yeah.
But like they traded away DL Hall and then they called up Cade Povich. Like they had DL Hall at home.
Yeah.
Even after they traded him, like a tall, skinny-ish lefty prospect. So
Yeah.
they're good at developing players.
They're really good at it. They just need to get them in the show and get them winning games.
They're also going to need to. Well, this is the other thing. They're not if they're not trying to re-sign Corbin Burns. They're kind of also not trying to re-sign Santander.
No, I don't really understand either of those.
So there's a lot of
Santander-
production that they're trying to replace, and they don't seem to be very proactive about it.
Not really. And like Santander kind of won over the hearts of Orioles fans this year, and it's like if you're not going after that guy again, what are you doing? Kind of.
Home runs are sweet.
Like
Home runs are dope. He had 40 of them.
yeah, and I mean he was the 3-hole guy all year.
Silver
3-hole,
Slugger.
4-hole, Silver Slugger. Like
How many guys hit 40 home runs?
not a lot.
Not a lot. Don't just let him walk. I mean, if you want to let him walk, it's gonna be hard to replace. Nobody on that team's gonna hit 40 home runs. Well, Gunnar might, but like
Gunnar might, yeah.
you're not gonna be able to make that up with what they have.
I don't know. I would really not understand them not re-signing him. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could try to replace him with Teoscar, but I don't know why you would do that. I don't know why you would try to replace him. The only logical thing that I can think is
Get him back.
or replace him with a minor league guy. But
Well, the minor league guy's not gonna be as good.
no, I don't know.
If they don't do anything to get better, like, and other teams improve in the American League, they're going to be the odd ones out.
Yeah, and you can't rely on 9 guys who just got called up from the minors in the last couple years.
It's true. It's hard.
Because one of two things is going to happen where a couple aren't going to pan out and they just have a solid roster, but it's like super young and unexperienced, or they all pan out pretty well and then you just can't re-sign them because in the next couple years you're going to have to pay Adley, you're going to have to pay Gunnar, and then Jordan Westbrook's going to need a contract, and then Kobe Mayo's going to need a contract,
Grayson
and then Jackson
Rodriguez.
Holliday's going to need a contract. And all of these guys are going to need contracts, and you can't keep – if you're not willing to pay Anthony Santander, the $15, $20 million a year that he's going to get, maybe 25, probably more like 20, 25.
Yeah, it's probably going to be like a 4-year, like 80, 90-ish
Yeah.
$1 million contract.
Yeah, but if you're not willing to pay that now, I don't really understand you wanting to pay it later. But
The last thing with the Orioles, and we'll move on, is their postseason success. I'm pretty sure that the last 2 years they are 0-6 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like they haven't
don't
made
have
it
a
out of the
win.
wild card series.
Yeah.
And that's probably because they're so young.
Yeah.
They have no experience.
When I was writing down about, you know, what I was gonna say for Baltimore, I put down get a winner and get a leader. Get somebody who's done it before.
Yeah.
Get some guys who have been to the playoffs and who have won. You know, part of the reason why Francisco Lindor is so valuable, and I'll talk about this forever, is because he loves winning and he has won before and he knows exactly what it takes, and he's a leader out on the field, and he has that clubhouse in the palm of his hand, and he can really get the guys going. And the Orioles don't have that.
Yeah.
The Orioles do not have that, and they need a guy who's won before. I mean, you think about, I don't really know where a lot of these guys are going to play, but Alex Bregman has a couple rings.
He could be a good Oriole.
Gleyber Torres went to the World Series this year. I mean, you see guys like Christian Walker's had some postseason success.
He went to the World Series.
I mean, I'm sure Goldschmidt's had some postseason success somewhere in that lengthy career.
He's
Justin
been there.
Turner even, like,
Justin Turner
he knows.
Just sign Justin Turner. Let him be your DH. Let him teach your guys.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
He was good at that.
I mean, that is another thing that really makes sense for the Orioles, and I would advise doing that.
Another team that I think that could make sense for, and this is a little different than the Orioles because the Orioles have been like a little more proven and a little better.
Yeah.
But the Tigers are kind of on their way.
I was thinking you were
and
going there.
They're
Yeah, I
on
was
their
looking right
way
there.
in the weirdest way possible.
They make no sense.
But it's kind of time. Now, it's not time to try and sign Corbin Burns or Juan Soto.
Absolutely not.
But it's like kind of time to call Alex Bregman or call Manaea or call somebody like that.
Yeah.
And like get some help and some veteran presence because they had none of that last year. Their veteran presence was literally Javier Baez, and they made it to the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, you can call. I'm trying to think of like trades for them because they need hitters.
Yes.
And they need them badly. And I'm kind of drawing a blank here, to be honest. But, you sign Bregman, you sign Torres.
Torres could be good. It just seems like it would kind of work.
I know they gave Javier Baez that huge shortstop contract, and it's kind of PTSD to do this, but Willie Adames would be a great fit. He hasn't had as much postseason success, but I still think he's definitely got it in him.
He's not going to end up being worse than Baez was either. Willie Adames is
no, he's not as much of a wild card.
Exactly.
Christian Walker is another great one for them. I mean, and then they got Riley Green in the outfield. Who are they got Max Clark coming up.
Max Clark's the man.
He has been on fire.
He played travel ball with us, like not like with us, but like when we were that age.
Yeah, like
and he was
2
just
years ago.
different.
Yeah, he was just different. I mean, and it's not even like he's a physically imposing guy either. He just hits the ball so hard every single time.
He's fast. He's a good athlete. And they have Jackson Jobe too.
They do have Jackson Jobe.
They
who
have
just came up.
Very legitimate like difference makers with star outlooks coming up. So that's why you let your stars be stars, and you get the vets to kind of help the process go along.
Yeah, and then you add like Nathan Eovaldi or something like that. Like
that's the name.
Yeah, somebody that's not going to cost you a lot of dollars, but
Nathan Eovaldi, the Tiger.
I can see it.
It kind of rolls off the tongue.
I think it does.
And that's helpful because they do a pretty good job developing starting pitching. So they don't need to go crazy.
Not at all. Especially with how good their bullpen was.
Right.
Like they're not one of those teams where if your starter's out of the game after 4 innings, the game's over, because it's not. They have so much depth. It's crazy. But anyways, the Tigers are in I kind of feel like a similar yet opposite position of the Red Sox, where it's like they could be really good if they just pull the trigger on a couple of guys. And
it looks different
yeah,
for the Tigers.
You can make some trades. I really don't know who they would trade with because I don't think there's a lot of tradable bats in this market. I mean,
no.
I'm kind of looking through these teams, and I mean, you can if the Blue Jays are willing to trade away some guys, you can trade for Bo Bichette or Vladimir Guerrero. But I don't really know. I mean, the Jays are trying to get Soto for God knows why.
It's 1 year of either Bo Bichette or Vladdy because they're both about to be free agents. But I think the cost for that 1 year of them is still going to be pretty.
It's going to be pretty hefty,
insane.
But I mean, that's everybody in this trade market. There's none of the low tier teams have a lot of guys who are tradable right now because we're kind of in a stance where it's like, if I'm looking at our mid-tier teams, like Oakland's super young, Miami's really young. Even the Angels have some young guys, but none of these guys have like veterans who people really want to trade for.
It's true.
So
that kind of happens organically. Like these teams that are in the low bracket will sign a random 1 year guy and he'll pop off a little bit and they'll get him in July and he'll end up making a difference. But while we're sitting here right now, we'll have no idea that it would matter at all.
Yeah, and I mean, what you're kind of banking on if you're a team that's in the market for a trade for a bat is one of these other mid-tier teams to say, all right, screw it, we're rebuilding, we're going to sell everybody.
Yeah.
And that would take like St. Louis, for example,
Arenado,
to trade Arenado or to trade, well, Goldschmidt's free agent now. But not that I think that's going to happen, but that's an example.
Let's stay in the Central here.
I really want to talk about the Central.
AL Central pod for hopefully not for too much longer. Yeah, I had 3 teams make the playoffs. I was kind of disgusted by it.
I was kind of disgusted by it too because they really just weren't that good.
No.
But
the Royals did things right though.
Oh my God, yeah. The Royals I'm probably the most excited about.
Man, those guys play the game the right way.
Yeah, I really like Pasquantino. I mean, he was kind of playing hurt in the playoffs, so he didn't show well. And then the lights got a little bright for Witt, but
Pasquantino's good. I think we kind of know what we're going to expect from him. Like, I don't think he's ever going to be the guy to hit 40 home runs or OPS like over 900 or anything. I think he's just going to be like solid, get on base, slug a decent amount, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think he can be the second best player on a Kansas City Royals World Series championship team.
Yeah.
So I think that's where they're like,
that's their issue.
Their lineup thump or lack thereof is where they come up short right now.
Yeah, and the good thing for them, the problem is these guys' ETAs are a little bit in the future, but Jack Caglione looks like the next
Is he
star.
good?
I mean, did you see he hit a 530-foot home run in the Arizona Fall League?
Yeah.
What in the world is that?
He hits the ball pretty far.
He hits it so hard. And I was kind of one of those guys who I thought his really long swing wasn't going to translate.
I was skeptical too.
He cut down on his whiffs. He cut down on his chase rate. And
so far, it's going okay.
Yeah, so far it's going really good. And then Blake Mitchell is a stud. He is going to fill – it's going to be a passing of the torch from Salvador Perez to Blake Mitchell. But, I mean, I'm excited about the Royals. I personally don't exactly know what to do. I think for next year, you kind of just try to run it back and get a few pieces. Like, try to bounce off of what you had and honestly just re-sign Garrett Hampson and get, like, Mark Canha and Tommy Pham.
Yeah, Mark Canha and Tommy Pham.
And maybe, like, Jurickson Profar, who can play everywhere. And then hopefully you have some success and then really kind of bank on, let's make a splash at the deadline.
They would be a team that I think would be good for Teoscar Hernandez, but based on who's trying to get Teoscar Hernandez, the Royals obviously are going to get outbid.
Yeah.
So, like, enter Mark Canna to play left
Yeah.
field.
Right.
Or, like, Gleyber Torres could be a fine Royal. Like,
Yeah.
they don't
Gleyber
have
Torres is gonna get a lot of attention.
they
this
don't have that
offseason.
much money committed. Like, they can commit $16 or so million a year
Mhm.
to Gleyber Torres, and then Gleyber Torres pretty much becomes their third or fourth
Yeah.
best hitter.
Mm-hmm. Or you get like Carlos Santana to be your DH.
Carlos Santana had a good year last
He really
year.
did.
He was pretty good.
I mean, he's very old, but like, you get him on a 1-year, $7 million contract, and you get him to hit a few bombs, and it
He's
works out
always
pretty
gotten
well.
on base well, too.
Mhm.
You can be old and still take a walk. That's
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. And the Royals' pitching is good.
Yeah, they don't need to touch that.
Cole Reagans was money.
Cole
Seth
Reagans
Lugo.
is awesome.
Seth Lugo was really good.
Yeah, he was kind of a lucky pitcher, but that's another story for another time.
He was still good. And Brady Singer,
Brady Singer's awesome.
he figured it out. He had a
Yeah.
couple years where his ERA was 4s, 5s,
Yeah,
but he had the stuff and he figured it out.
yeah.
And then Michael Wacha was.
They already re-signed him.
They already re-signed him.
Yeah,
He was very dependable,
yeah.
and they re-signed him. So their pitching's good.
Mm-hmm. Their
Their-
pitching doesn't need to be touched. And
Their
then they
rotation was one of the best.
got, I forget his first name, but his last name was like Eckerd. I believe.
Lucas Urseg.
Urseg.
Yeah.
I don't.
I have it pulled up right. I got
Yeah,
their Fangraphs up right here.
He was insane in the playoffs.
was
He kind of made
insane.
his name known then. I had no idea who he was beforehand.
They traded for him. He was on Oakland at the beginning of
Okay.
the year.
That makes sense why I didn't know him then.
Yeah, probably didn't watch too much of those games.
Nope.
Yeah, me neither. The Royals are good. Get a hitter.
Yeah.
You could maybe be even better.
Get a bat, get an arm. Don't do too much. Don't do too little.
The interesting part about the AL Central now is that Cleveland's
confusing.
they're confusing, but they're still the best team of the group
Oh, for sure.
because they made it to the ALCS.
Yeah.
They have the best roster. They don't have the best pitching anymore. They did for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't have the best pitching anymore. They still have Jose Ramirez,
Yeah.
which is just wonderful.
Yeah.
He's so
yeah.
good.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
And they have good support around him.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard rumblings that because it's a very Guardians thing to do, it's time to pay Josh Naylor, and they're not going to want to do it, so they might trade him,
Yeah.
which obviously would be going backwards. But it's
Mhm.
kind of how they operate, and most of the time they're able to, like, make do with it better than not. But I think Cleveland's pitching is really where they're going to fall. I mean, their bullpen obviously not, because their bullpen is just insane. But their starting pitching, Tanner Bybee was good.
Yeah.
But then the other young guys that they're kind of working with, maybe they will pan out. They didn't last year, and it hurt them. So I think if they don't again, and they're probably not going to sign too much in regards of free
No.
agent starting pitching.
Yeah.
So that might be if they were to lag behind Kansas City, or if they were to lag behind an improved Detroit, if
Mhm.
they improve, that's probably where they're going to fall short.
Yeah. With the Guardians too, they have some young guys. You got Kyle Manzardo, who was pretty good. You got John Kinski Noel,
Christmas.
who was pretty exciting. They got Bizana with the #1 overall pick. They they have Chase DeLauder, who I actually saw a video of him this morning from spring training of him putting a ball like 80 feet over the wall. So they got some decent.
They have
guys.
drafted well.
They can develop well. I think their goal for this season is they try to pull in Alex Anthopoulos and say, hey, here's 8 years and $80 million, because you haven't proved that you're like that guy yet. But get the young guys for cheap and get them here for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Get Tanner Bibby, or you pronounce it differently.
Bybee,
Is
I
it
believe.
Bybee?
That's what I've heard.
I don't know.
It's an interesting name.
Yeah. And anyways, get him for cheap. Get him. I'm missing a couple starters of theirs. Their pitching was super good.
It was.
My point is, get the good pitching and keep it and get it for cheap. before
Right.
you lose it.
And then have to trade it because that's what they do.
Yeah. So
It would be advantageous to them to be a little more proactive
mhm.
with that. And Kyle Manzardo is kind of the reason that trading Josh Naylor is in the cards
yeah,
because they're both left-handed hitting first baseman.
it would really suck to see Bo Naylor and Josh Naylor get separated.
I know. Maybe they should just like package deal them.
That'd be pretty cool.
The Guardians signed Austin Hedges back. All's right in the world.
At least they did that.
The only things that we're doing so far this offseason is backup catchers. That's all that matters.
I guess.
Who's going to catch for you once
Yeah.
a week? Austin Hedges.
Yeah, who's
is-
going to come in the 9th inning when Bo Naylor has had his last at bat of the game and you need people to not steal bags?
And the pitchers are going to like it.
Yep, they're going to love it because Austin Hedges is elite
He
back
is
there.
elite. Well, the AL Central, it's open.
Sucks.
I mean, based on what any of those three teams do, we could pick any of them to win the division at the
Yeah.
start of the year.
Yeah,
Is
for
it
sure.
most likely going to be Cleveland?
No.
You don't think so?
Mm,
I think it's most likely going to Cleveland will most likely be forecasted as the best
yeah,
one.
yeah. I don't really know why I said no, to be quite
I don't
honest.
see the Royals as moving the needle enough to jump them.
The thing with Cleveland for me is I look at their roster and I look at their lineup, and all that really jumps out to me is Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
Andres Jimenez is an elite defender, but he doesn't really hit the ball very hard, and he really kind of just I don't know. He's a solid hitter, but like nothing crazy. I don't think Stephen Kwan's gonna repeat his success. And I think you're relying on a bunch of mid-tier prospects with Kyle Manzardo and John Kensky Noel to just prove that they're the guy, and they're not going to be. So
Yeah, it's possible. I still get more excited about those guys than I do Michael Massey and 44-year-old Sal. Sal is still good,
yeah, that's also true.
but the Royals
That's the
pitching
thing
is
for
way
the
better.
Central is it's really going to be up to who wants to dig into the pockets a little bit
Yeah.
eventually. I don't think it's going to be this year that anybody does it because neither of these teams are in a position to spend a lot because they don't really have a ton of holes, but they also don't have a ton of stars out there. I mean, each team has like one respective star.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say the Tigers have one, to be quite honest.
Riley Green, he's really good, but he's not. Well, he's not Bobby Witt, and he's not Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love to see them like push the envelope a little bit.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I don't know. It's going to be a weird season. It's probably going to be the Guardians win 89 games and the Royals win 87 and the Tigers also win 87 and somehow they all three
They
make
all
the
make the playoffs.
they all make the playoffs.
We need to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, can that please not happen? They're so boring. Just don't be boring, AL Central teams.
Speaking of boring, we don't have to talk about the Twins.
Can we not,
Yeah,
actually?
we don't have to.
I don't even really know them, to be quite honest.
They're not as good as these three teams, which kind of sucks.
They're not. And then Byron Buxton's always hurt, so you can't rely on him. Joe Ryan was solid.
Hot,
Bailey Ober,
tall.
tall, yeah.
He was good. He was actually really good. Maybe trade him. If you're the Twins, sorry, Twins. I'm putting 30 more seconds on the Twins. If you're the Twins and you don't think you're going to be better, maybe they do think they're going to be better than the three teams we just talked about. But if you don't think you're going to be,
That'd be silly.
start over. Trade these guys.
Mhm.
You've got assets. You've got Correa. You've got Ryan, Pablo Lopez. Like, just start calling.
Yeah. Start calling people and just get prospects.
Because this crop of talent hasn't done anything.
Yeah. And when you're looking at the deadline at these teams who could be trading assets at the deadline, it's like there's going to be a lot of buyers this year and there's not going to be a lot of talent to buy.
There's not lots.
And when that happens, that happened this year. I mean, the Astros traded 3 of their prospects that they were already limited on starting pitch or on prospects, and they go out and get UC Kikuchi. And I mean, everybody's like, why in the world are we getting UC Kikuchi for
what they gave up.
what they gave up? But I mean, it worked for them.
Mhm.
But I like
Thanks,
you're,
Twins.
You're gonna get a lot for Bailey Ober and for Joe Ryan, and
You really could.
and you'll get some for Correa, and I'm trying to think Wu's still there. Maybe you'll get some for Buxton if he's healthy.
Yeah. But they could trade like Willie Castro or
Yeah. And the thing is,
their lineup's not that deep.
like, a lot of these teams who are in on Soto are going to be like, all right, give me Buxton once the deadline hits. I could see the Mets doing that, honestly. I could 100% see that.
Thanks, Twins.
Yep, thanks.
Good luck.
Adios.
All right. AL West.
Boring.
We did Houston. We did Texas. We don't need to do Oakland or the Angels anytime soon.
No.
Maybe next time. The Mariners are the ones that are in limbo.
The Mariners are the Tigers, but worse.
It's been the same story for the past few years. Their pitching is
Elite.
far and away the best in Major League Baseball. I think their rotation is the best in Major League Baseball.
I mean, it has to be, yeah.
And their offense is just about dead last.
Yeah, it doesn't really get a whole lot worse.
So we've been saying this, and they've like kind of tried it. Get hitters.
Please.
Just get some hitters.
I mean, they don't even have a whole lot of contract money either because you just called up Brian Wu and Bryce Miller's young and Logan Gilbert hasn't signed a big contract.
Cal Raleigh doesn't have a big contract.
Cal Raleigh doesn't have a big contract. Luis Castillo's contract is solid, but it's not like
super big.
crazy.
And their big deal is Julio Rodriguez, and it hasn't even. It's like one of those ones that like gets higher as he gets older.
Yeah, and honestly, Julio Rodriguez had the worst season of his career and what will be the worst season of his career.
Yeah.
He's going to be completely fine.
I'm not worried about him.
He smokes the ball. I mean, he plays immaculate defense even when he's not hitting the ball well. So he's going to be fine. Don't worry about Julio Rodriguez. Go out and get some freaking bats, please.
Do you guys want Willie Abreu? You can have him. Do you want Yoshida? You can have him too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want
Do you
Yoshida.
want Starling Marte? Go ahead. Actually,
Yeah.
I want Starling Marte. But
Well, do you want Brian Wu?
yeah.
Then send literally anyone.
Yeah.
Like you have. I know obviously the Mariners don't want to trade any of their prized possession rotation arms, but at
Why
some
not?
point you'd rather have
Trade one of them, please.
4 great starters and then some guys that can score runs than 5 great starters who are going to let up 2 runs or fewer and then lose games 3-2 at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I could kind of see them going for a trade that's pretty blockbuster where it's like they get a big bat and they get a lesser arm and then they trade 1 or 2 of their big arms.
What if they like trade for Vladdy?
Like
Like Brian Wu for Vladdy.
that would be you're going to have to give up more for Vladdy. But
It's 1 year of Vladdy though, and it's like 5 years of Brian Wu.
Yeah. But what if you did? Hold on, let me pull up the Blue Jays lineup.
Like something like that really moves the needle, and that would get Mariners fans excited too. Because it's been the same story for a long time.
Yeah. Pulling up Fangraphs. Oh, God, I've never looked at this before. Yeah, like, what if they did Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and George Springer for, for Bryce Miller and Brian Wu?
The Mariners are out. The Mariners are out. I'm Jerry DiPoto right now, and you're Ross Atkins.
But, like,
if you call me and say Bryce Miller and Brian Wu, I'm hanging up the phone.
Let me pull up their top prospects. Because there's, like, they still have so much good pitching in here. Oh, wait, no, they don't.
Is it all gone?
Like, what if the Blue Jays gave, Springer and Guerrero or Guerrero and Alejandro Kirk for Brian Wu or for Bryce Miller and
Some of these
like
prospect fellows.
I don't know, Cole Young, Harry Ford.
See, that's
more like it.
this could be a match.
and then
it's all just like it's what the Mariners need to do.
like that's totally the move that a team like the Mariners should make, where they have these really young pitching guys, and the Blue Jays want more young pitching because they just called up Bowden Francis, who was elite,
He was really good.
and the Blue Jays want prospects, and they want hitting prospects, probably, because they're trying to replace Vlad and Bichette. So get some guys from the Mariners who hit, like Cole Emerson, Cole Young, Harry Ford.
And develop them. You developed Vlad and you developed Bichette.
Yeah.
And developed some new
Develop those three guys.
Some new talent. You kind of can do it. You developed Teoscar Hernandez.
And then
it's not completely foreign to them.
No. And then, add in like a young starter like Brian Wu in there, and then look at that trade.
That would be a big trade.
I mean, the
that
Mariners
would get
have
my
done
juices flowing.
The Mariners have done big trades like that before with the
That's
Edwin
true.
Diaz trade.
You know well.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't see any reason not to do it. Maybe not Bryce Miller and Brian Wu. That was a little bit of a stretch.
I'm putting the phone down.
Yeah.
I'm putting the phone down.
Yeah. But I mean, I honestly think Brian Wu is a better pitcher than Bryce Miller. That's kind of the whole reason I threw that out there.
All right, we can go for like 20 minutes on the National League here. Maybe 15, 20 minutes on these National League teams. There's not as many of them.
Yeah.
Are there any of them that are in the NL East? The Braves we did, the Mets we did.
Phillies we did.
The Nationals will do. They're in the last group. The Marlins are in the last group. The Phillies we did.
Yep.
So yeah, NL East.
Yep. Goodbye, NL
Thanks
East.
for being either really good or not really that important.
Yeah.
The NL Central.
We might be able to throw Pittsburgh in there today. With the
Maybe.
NL Central.
Pittsburgh's tricky.
They are tricky.
The Cubs are probably the
That's
team
weird.
that are going to get talked about the most because they're the ones that would spend the most.
Yeah.
Because they could be linked to Flaherty or Snell
Yeah.
or another big hitter. Like, I don't know, Alex Bregman just seems like always the guy to think about, but like the Cubs could be in on like Pete Alonso or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're sick of being close but not there.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to probably land one of the bigger pitchers, and they're probably going to land one of the bigger bats. Like if the Cubs get, and I don't think they're going to get a superstar, but if Pete Alonso doesn't go back to the Mets and the Cubs like sign Pete Alonso and then
That would be crazy.
sign Jack Flaherty, they're in a pretty good spot because they have exactly what I said. They have a solid roster, but it's not really going to compete for anything.
Yeah. They're in a very similar situation with what we talked about with oh my god, I'm blanking. Kind of Cleveland, but worse, where it's like you don't really know where to go from here because you just called up Michael Bush and you traded for Isaac Paredes. And I mean, they've got some really good pieces in here. Unfortunately, Dansby Swanson's had a couple down years.
His
for them.
defensive value, though, is still
Right,
so helpful.
Of course. And Ian Happ is still pretty
Ian Happ's
good.
good.
Bellinger regressed a little bit, but we all kind of knew that was going to happen. Seiya Suzuki looked awesome, especially towards the end of the year. But, I mean, they've got Shota. They've got Justin Steele. Tyone was fine for them.
Their pitching is good.
Their pitching's pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of their bullpen,
No, me neither.
like at all, actually.
It's really thin.
Why is Nate Pearson in there?
Nate Pearson, Blue Jays legend.
But that's fine for this market. There are so many relievers that are going to need to find homes.
Yeah. And also, like, if you get a starter, like, move Ben Brown into the bullpen. Or move, like, is Hayden Wesneski already in the Cubs bullpen? Like, you have some starters that you've rolled out there that you can try and use as bullpen pieces and be economical with your pitching. Basically, we don't have to spend too much time on the Cubs, I don't think, because basically it's just like, you guys are good. You're 2 steps away from really being able to win the NL Central on a, like, okay year-to-year basis. I think you should go ahead and do that.
Yeah. They've got some decent prospects, too. Matt Shaw is pretty good.
Matt Shaw, Massachusetts native.
Wow, look at that.
But you know what? We played for the same travel team.
That's pretty cool. Kevin Alcantara was pretty good.
He's going to be really good.
He's gonna
like
be good.
6'7".
And then they just drafted Cam Smith, who's already in Double-A and who hit home runs in, I believe it was 7 straight games. And
I believe that's right, too.
He's super good. They've got some really good young guys that are going to be up relatively soon, probably next year or the year after. And there's some hope for the Chicago
There's
Cubs.
hope for the Cubs.
Yeah, I don't really know where exactly to go with this roster. I don't know why Fangraphs has Dansby Swanson with the Arizona Diamondback. Oh, that's the team he was drafted by.
Yep.
Never mind. That was weird. Anyways.
The Brewers, they're a little different than the Cubs. But the Brewers have been the ones spending less, but winning more
Yeah.
because they're better with their young talent.
And they develop like crazy.
They develop like crazy. It's always going to look a little weird for the Brewers because their players are not going to be super household name type guys.
Yeah.
Like they're losing Adames.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other sad part, and this is kind of what we were talking about with the Orioles. Is like when they have a free agent go,
Yeah.
they just let them go.
Yeah. They never re-sign ever. And they traded for Adames too from the Rays. They gave up a lot for him. I don't really understand just letting him go like that. They don't have any big contracts. You still have William Contreras for cheap. You have Bryce Terang, I think, is awesome. He just won a Platinum Glove. Didn't
Jackson
really deserve
Chourio
it.
is really good.
Jackson Chourio is unbelievable.
Yelich is their big contract.
Yelich is their big contract, but honestly, you can afford to have
It
another
doesn't
one.
hamstring them too much. It also is something to be said for the Brewers and their like confidence to be able to replace guys when they leave. Like they're gonna come up with some plan for the left side of the infield.
Yeah.
Their pitching is almost always gonna get the job done. Enter Tobias Myers, postseason hero.
My goodness,
Yeah,
is he
where
good?
where did that come from? But like, they're more than likely going to trade away Devin Williams, and that's going to hurt. They're going to lose Adames, and that's going to hurt. So,
Yeah.
if you think about it, based on what the Brewers are going to do versus what the Cubs are going to do, it's going to be kind of the thing to say is that the Cubs are the better team until
Yeah.
they actually start playing ball.
Yeah.
The Brewers are good, though. They've got a nice group of little guys.
Yeah, they're always going to be fine because they're so good at developing players and making these mediocre teams good, like the Rays typically do. But, I mean, if you're the Brewers and you're saying, and you're letting Adames go and you're letting Devin Williams go,
Just like they did with Hader.
I think the move is for whatever you have left, get some MLB ready prospects who are knocking on the door
Who can help now?
and who can help pretty soon because you still have Bryce Terang, you have Sal Frelick, Jackson Chourio. I mean, these are going to be guys that are going to be pieces for the next few years, and then if you get a bunch of prospects, you sign a couple bullpen arms, and I mean, their pitching lab is elite, so no matter who they sign, they'll turn them into being pretty good. And then you got Jefferson Cuero, I've heard good things about. He's only 22. He's already in the majors.
And then they trade William Contreras because they have a new catcher.
Right.
That's the most Brewers thing ever.
Yep, exactly. But why not trade William Contreras?
That's how they're going to do it.
And then Jacob Misiorowski is 6'7".
That's the dude that throws 100,
and
right?
he throws a million miles an
Yeah.
hour from Mount Everest.
That's probably cool.
Yeah, he's freaking good.
To your point about the MLB ready level prospects, they got Joey Ortiz and DL Hall back for Corbin Burns, and they both contributed at the big league level in their first year. So they're not stupid. Like,
Yeah,
that's the plan.
yeah.
Are the prospects always
Forgot
going to
about those
pan out?
guys. Yeah,
No. But, like, Joey Ortiz could be their shortstop next year.
Yeah.
And could he be a bad major league shortstop? Sure. But it might work out.
yeah.
I think the Brewers and the Cubs are more interesting than the coastal elitists give credit to sometimes.
Yeah,
Like, they'll be interesting to follow.
yeah. They'll be interesting to keep up with, but they're probably not going to be that awesome. And the Brewers are probably not going to win the division again.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wouldn't see it. Let's talk about the St. Louis Cardinals.
They're a step behind.
They are very, very similar to the Brewers right now, where they don't have holes, but they don't have guys.
Yeah, their pitching is not what the Brewers' pitching is. It can't carry them like the Brewers' pitching carries them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you look at the Cardinals and the players that they have, I mean Goldschmidt's gone.
Yeah.
Arenado's a shell of what he was. / could it be the move to trade him?
Yeah.
Maybe, but like the Cardinals have a good crop of players. Wilson Contreras is still good. Mason Wynn is
They're moving him to first.
blossoming.
So see ya, Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. See ya. Brendan Donovan and Lars Nootbaar. Like they're not
flashy.
They're not flashy, but they have a solid crop of big league players. But in terms of like really doing stuff, and they have a solid crop of big league pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
But you need more than kind of a solid crop to do anything. So I think the Cardinals are just like a little bit stuck right now.
Yeah. The good thing is they have, oh God, I'm blanking on his name, but that minor league pitcher who led the minors in strikeouts.
Tink Hence.
No.
Tink Hence didn't lead the minors in strikeouts.
Different name. Hold on. Cardinals top prospects. Quinn Matthews. And yeah, Tink Hence is good too. JJ Weatherholt they just drafted.
Oh, he's the man.
He's awesome. I really like JJ Weatherholt. I don't think he's going to be anything crazy, but
let's put him in second base.
Yeah.
JJ Weatherholt, Mason Wynn.
And Chase Davis is coming up. He hasn't been what everybody thought he was going to be, but he's like the reincarnation of Cargo, which is pretty cool. And I think he'll be fine. He was so good in college.
So maybe the move is to just like hit a little reset button.
Yeah.
You don't need to completely blow everything up because you have some young players, but just like hit a little reset because you have pitching prospects. You have JJ Weatherholt.
Yeah.
You have the makings of a good developmental system, but the on-field talent, like they're just not going to be able to put together a good enough product for right now.
Yeah, and they have Mason Wynn. They've got Alec Burleson. They've got Jordan Walker, who should be fine. They have Nolan Gorman, still young, not the greatest hitter, but he's fine. They've got some young guys, and they can work with it. And I unfortunately think you have to say goodbye to Arenado. You might have to trade Wilson Contreras at the deadline, and maybe like try and package Lars Nootbaar to get a little extra punch in those trades.
Yeah.
And then you keep the pitching as it is. You call up your good pitching, and then you call up your good hitting, and then you make a signing in a couple years, and they should be back on the right track. But I think you got to see through a couple losing seasons
I
first.
think so too. That might just be the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, and because I don't really see this lineup being a playoff contending or they'll be a playoff contending lineup, but they won't be a making deep runs lineup by any means. So who knows? Maybe a lot of these guys will figure it out. Maybe Victor Scott will start hitting the ball hard because, I mean, his defense is elite and he can steal bags, but he hit for 179 average last year with a 283 slugging. That's not so awesome.
No, it's not what we're looking for.
So,
all right, let's do the D-backs and Giants in like 5 minutes and then
wrap it up. Alrighty.
The D-backs won the National League in 2023 after winning 90 games. And then they failed to make the playoffs, and now they're going to lose Christian Walker.
Failed to make the playoffs while putting up the most runs in the entire MLB.
Their magic wore off a little bit. Zach Allen's good. Jordan Montgomery was not good.
No.
Eduardo Rodriguez was not good.
No.
Brandon Pfaadt
was fine.
We're going to give him a chance because he could totally figure it out.
Yeah.
Ryan Nelson, he could figure it out.
Yeah. I like Ryan Nelson. He's kind of cool. He was cool.
Bullpen, pretty good. Diamondbacks bullpen is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
AJ Puck,
agree.
Kevin Ginkel,
Yeah.
Justin Martinez, people of that nature.
Yeah. Maybe add one more. Why not?
Maybe add one more. But, like, it's kind of the same thing. Like, all these teams are – we can't confidently say that they're going to perform, but if you get a bat and you get maybe a starting pitcher, it's going to come down to who gets these guys because they're going to be difference makers in whether your team wins 84 and is out or wins 90 and is in.
Yeah, and the thing is,
Diamondbacks are right there.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, Ketel Marte might have won the MVP this year had he played a full season, and Corbin Carroll entirely regress. He just had a sophomore slump. He's going to be fine.
He's going to be fine.
You just got to get some back end bats. You got to get Alec Thomas going again. You got to get Geraldo Perdomo going again. You know, Gabriel Moreno, get him. Hopefully he pans out as well. And then, like, what is Pavin Smith doing there? Like, come on. What is Eugenio Suarez
They're losing
doing
Jock,
there?
too.
And they're probably losing Jock, and they're probably going to lose Christian
OPS.
Walker. But I'm not sure what their prospects look like. I know they have that one guy who is demolishing the ball. De Los Santos.
They traded him.
What?
Yeah, because for AJ Puck, Davis and De Los Santos, they traded him to the Marlins. So now he's never going to be good because he's on the Marlins.
I had no idea they traded him.
Yeah, they had to, but he was crushing the ball. But now they don't have that.
Why? All right, whatever. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. I've heard like negative things about him, like he was getting like super crazy bad ball luck, and
He probably sucks at defense too.
he was like a horrible defender. But I don't know. I don't really understand that. Anyways, they got Jordan Lawler up to the big leagues. To be quite honest with you, I have no idea what his success looks like. It should be right here somewhere.
He didn't play a lot.
I don't think
He's still getting his feet wet.
You have Drew Jones down there, who's pretty freaking good at baseball. He found his stride this year, and he kicked it into gear. 814 OPS in Single A. That's pretty good. He was an all-star, like a minor league all-star guy. Slade Caldwell is a nice draft pick. He'll pan out in a few years. He'll be up there in a while, but they've got some guys. They've got Tommy Troy from Stanford, who is really good.
Troy.
They have Gino Groover, who, fun fact, went to my high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He went to North Carolina State, and he is hitting the hell out of the ball, as he likes to do. 281 average, 841 OPS. He's really freaking good at baseball. He hit a lot better than that in high school because he was insane. Unfortunately, COVID year killed his high school draft.
Oh, yeah, that's tough.
High school draft stock, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, the Diamondbacks, I don't know. They're putting up a lot of runs. And I don't really understand why everybody's so confident in them losing Christian Walker. Why would they not go get him?
See, that's what I'm saying.
Like, everybody
There's no plan to
online
replace
is
him.
pretty confident that Christian Walker's going to be on another team next year, but why? You know?
Yeah.
And I don't really understand that because he is so valuable for them, especially when they go play at Dodger
huge.
Stadium.
And he defends well, too.
Yeah. He defends really freaking well.
3 Gold Gloves in a row, I think it is.
Yeah, something like that. He's very good.
Wrapping up the day, the Giants.
Lame.
Kind of lame.
Really lame.
Because the Giants are that team where, well, they already had Blake Snell, but, like, say you sign Blake Snell or a Snell-adjacent type pitcher, and then say you sign, I'll say Alex Bregman's name for the 12th time today, or Alex Bregman type adjacent player.
Yeah.
Probably still not good enough.
No, I mean, the good thing is Heliot Ramos was pretty good this year.
He was. Tyler Fitzgerald, who?
Yeah.
He was good too, though.
Well, but if you look at Tyler Fitzgerald had a .03 difference in his xWOBA to his WOBA. So
That's how they get you sometimes.
he is going to regress next year 100%. There's no way he keeps up that 800 OPS or whatever he had.
Willie Adames fits well here.
Yeah. Willie Adames fits great here. And you know the Giants are willing to spend when they kind of when they tried to sign Carlos Correa and then he failed
Yeah.
all those physicals. But
But they went after Blake Snell.
yeah,
He ended up opting out, but it ended up, it was a slow start for Blake Snell, but the
Mhm.
season worked out. So a reunion, I think it would make sense. I know Blake Snell's going
Yeah.
to have options out there.
yeah. I hope they keep Patrick Bailey because I love him as a defender.
I'm sure they will.
And he's such a San Francisco Giant. It's crazy. Mike Yastrzemski's fine. He's kind of that veteran piece. There's no reason to really turn away from him, but there's no reason to pay him a bunch of money. Just kind of keep him where he is. Lamont Wade's fine. Jung Ho Lee's fine.
He had a good rookie year.
Yeah,
he
he wasn't
wouldn't.
bad.
He wasn't too impressive offensively.
No.
And he had I know he had health trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you get him actually for a sustained period of games and
Yeah.
get his feet wet in Major League Baseball, like he's
Mhm.
never gonna be
Yeah.
crazy offensively, but he could going out there and playing a good center field is always helpful to a team.
Yeah, and you got some pieces here. You got Logan Webb. You got Jordan Hicks was solid as a starter. I guess he had a horrible back end.
I'm
because
still not bought in on the whole Jordan Hicks starter.
I think it's kind of
train.
cool.
I think
but-
it's cool. I just think it's so hard to he only threw 109 innings. Like it's
Yeah.
so hard to actually put into practice.
They have a great bullpen. I really like their bullpen. Ryan Walker's really cool.
They do have a good bullpen.
His slider is so disgusting. And then Sean Hageli throws from the mountain.
Throws
and,
from the mountaintop.
and Tyler Rogers throws from the floor. So, so they've got some interesting angles there. I would hate to be a hitter and walk up to the plate thinking I'm seeing a ball coming from Mount Everest, and then they run out. Tyler Rogers, and your
gotta
eye
be
line
good.
goes all the way down.
Yeah.
But I really like their bullpen. They need to sign a starter or two. Hopefully they get Snell back if you're a Giants fan, and then hopefully you go out and sign Yuzi Kikuchi or Nick Pivetta or Kyle Gibson or I don't know.
Nick Pivetta, Giants. I like it.
It's whatever.
I'm not a Giants fan, so. Well, the moral of the story, as we wrap it up here for these
Mhm.
mid-tier teams, is
Yeah.
there are good free agents out there.
But there's not enough for all of them.
There's not enough for all of them, so the guys that get those free agents,
Are gonna be the guys that win games.
they're gonna have a strong advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're here to follow.
That absolutely is.
Now
We're
that
gonna
it's all
follow it
outlined.
closely in the next couple weeks.
We are. It's gonna get exciting.
It is. Hopefully, it gets exciting soon because I want to see it.
All right. Well, hopefully
Please
this
throw some
video
money.
has been
Informative.
informative, watchable.
Yep.
And we haven't had any struggles putting it together.
Yeah, please.
And
Please.
we'll be back next time.
Yeah.
Peace.
Adios.